Hello everyone. In this video, I will talk about post requests. Till now, we created get APIs to get data, either a string or an object, or based on the request parameter or query parameter. So these are all get request, which fetches data from the server based on the endpoint and parameters. Next, we want to create data in the server. Like when user signs up, it sends its information and then we create the data for that user. In that case, we use post APIs. But before we get into post API details, let's talk about the third type of request object. One is params, second is query, third one is body. When we want to pass one string, simple data, we use params or query. But when we want to pass big object, more data, like user object, user information. So when a user signs up, it sends his whole information about that user. It's not a simple string to be sent in params or query. So in those cases where we send a big object, large data, we use a third type of request, that is body. When we pass data from here in the URL, it comes into params and query. But body cannot be passed from this URL. It is sent as a separate object to this endpoint, and that cannot be tested from the browser. Browser only can send data in the URL. So to test a API which receives a body, we use Postman. In Postman, you can see we have this body tab. Here we pass the body. Okay. And as you know, for a post request to create user information, we need whole user information object. So in post of APIs, we mainly use body as request object. And as body cannot be sent directly in URL, we use Postman to test post APIs. Get APIs we can test directly on the browser by pasting the URL here in any of the forms. But to test post request, which mainly has body as request parameter, we use Postman. And when we pass big object like user information, we don't want that whole object to be visible or available in the URL. That's why we send as a separate object. This body is not visible in the URL. Okay. So now as we are aware of body and testing the API in Postman, let's start the post APIs. because we mainly use body in post APIs and test in Postman. Okay, this is important. We should know about body, how to send body to a endpoint, and how to test that using Postman. Testing GET API is simple. We just pass that URL from the browser. But for Post API, we need to understand the body structure and how to test it using Postman. So let's create an API which will be used to create an object. Okay, suppose user information. So I can say app dot, instead of get we'll use post. Okay, and as you see, we have here get API data. Same way we can have post API data. So endpoint can remain same, but it will be post to create data, and this will be get to get data. Okay, now what? So we have app dot post and then API slash data request response. Now, as I said, we will pass data in body. So let's console log request dot body. Okay, so we will get the data in body. Okay, and then what we will do, we will call some API and save that data from body to database. And then what we will do, we will send a response. What will be in response? Success message. Response dot JSON, some message, success, or successfully saved data, or data created, or any message which will be sent to the user. Now let's test this. So this is a post request. So we'll get this URL, we'll paste it in Postman. Okay, localhost 3000 API slash data. This is the URL, and we need post data, right? And then we need to pass some body. So in body, we will pass JSON object. What is the data? Suppose it is user data. So we will pass name, role, and many more things we can pass. Status of the user created or something. So this object can be of any size. Now if I hit send, what will happen? So you can see here body is undefined. We expected object to be available in body, but it's undefined. What is the reason? So in Express, to receive this object, this body object in request.body uh, parameter, we need to add one middleware, this thing. This one line is required which converts this input body from the request to request.body object. Request.params and request.query is handled in default service, but for this body we need to add this. So whenever we create an express service, we always add this one line. So after this, let's try send it and see. So we have this everything in the body object. So we have this body whole user information. We can call an API and save that data in the database. So this object will be created and we return this message successfully saved data. So this is post API in simplest form. A post API mostly receive data in body. To receive data in body, we need to add this one line. And to test an API which receives data in body, we need some tool other than browser. Most famous is Postman. So we use Postman and pass the data in body. Then body is received here and we can use that to create that data in the database, and then we return a response. So this is response. Here we returning this message which appears here. So when I call this API, we get this message that data is saved. So this is what we see on the front end. So we are calling this API, passing this data in the body as a post API, and we are getting this message. That means this API worked and data is created. In the next video, I'll go in more detail for post APIs.